Hey guys, I'm Greg Mazdrid, and this is my podcast on trends of development in society and the future of the humankind. Today, here with me is Mikhail Samin, one of the most extraordinary people I have ever met. He's just 22 years old, but has already donated $100,000 to various charities, most of which focus on problems of AI safety, which we are going to talk about in this podcast episode. A child prodigy, Mikhail created a successful music recognition startup AudD and many other cutting-edge IT services. He was also the head of the Russian pastafarian church and a political activist who spent some time in Russian jail for his participation in protests. Despite his young age, he is already a prominent expert in the area of AI alignment, respected even by seasoned experts in this field. This podcast episode will change the way you think about the AI and its future. I'm Greg Mazdrid, and this is my conversation with Mikhail Samin. Hi, Mikhail. Glad to see you here. Let's delve into the topic head first. So many people know about it. Obviously, many of my subscribers are also effective altruists, are thrilled about the problems of AI safety, AI development, but many of them are not, and they don't know what the hell AI alignment even means. Can you please give a definition first?
We think that somewhere is next, probably this century, will create an artificial general intelligence and a system that's as smart as any human. And there seems to be a problem that we have no idea how to point this system at optimizing the universe for something we will follow. We don't know how to tell it to do what we would want it to do. And this problem is called the AIalignment problem. We want to align future AI systems with our values, and it's surprisingly hard. It's both a mathematical and technological issue, and this is what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, this is something that has been exciting me for quite a long time as well. I think I first heard about the AI alignment problem 10 years ago, and since then I started to believe that this really is a thing that we should consider. And I guess over the past few years, more and more people have been attracted to this field, but still it's a little bit non-mainstream, I would say. So still, I think that there are and there will be many questions from my audience about the validity of the claims that you have started to make. So let's ask those questions. First of them being, I think, how can you even think that there are any risks of unfriendly artificial intelligence that harms us? It's just AI. It's just a computer program that does what it is told. What could be the biggest risk that the computer lags or turns off? Well, why have you donated so much money to that cause, and why do you think the people asking those questions are wrong?
There are kind of multiple ways you can program your computers. You can just write that if it sees something, it should do something, if else statements, if them. And the other way, the way that's the way we'll probably create a first AGI system is we just have large neural network. Large neural networks are really good approximators. So you can, if you have any function, any kind of programs that you can imagine, or the theorems that with a sufficiently large neural network, you can just approximate this program, this function, as well as you want, as you wish. We know how to find weights for neural network that approximate any function that we can write. If we can measure how good neural network performs, we can find better and better neural networks. We don't really know how to, first of all, write a function that measures what you value. It's in all that fairy tales about genius. You can make a wish, but if the genius doesn't want to do exactly what you wanted to do, but instead just optimizes for whatever you asked for, it turns out wrong. human values are really complicated. It's really hard to write a math equation for like what you want. And another problem that's also like kind of really hard is that we don't actually know how to find things that optimize for what we measure as like the returnable goals. Because if you just like search for neural networks that perform well on some function, like first you'll just find some heuristics that correlate with what you're searching for. Like if it's some game, like and you look for agents that can play the game well, you'll just find like neural networks that looks for, I don't know, like different colors and moves the game character towards these colors. But then you'll start getting optimizers, things that intentionally with some goals in mind that try to navigate the game and achieve these goals. And even in some really simple scenarios, you already find agents that optimize for something different from what you measure.
So, what could be a concrete example of how things could go wrong with the AI being instructed what it has to do and doing something that we do not desire?
It's hard to give like a realistic example would be something like DeepMind just finds an AGI system and they like have it to research it for a couple of months or a couple of weeks, are pretty scared of like what they have done, will release it or launch it with any safe prompts. And then like a couple of weeks to a couple of months later, someone like Meta or some like, or a Norwegian or Russian or Chinese, probably not Russian government, just steals the code and launches it as something unsafe. In any case, it ends up being like a powerful agent that just has some preferences about the future of the universe, and it just converts atoms humanity is made of to something more useful. But like this is kind of like there are a lot of claims there, and I think like it's better to explore those instead of to the specific example, because like there are a lot of assumptions that go into this. We don't know how to find agents that actually do what we want them to do. People have no idea how to solve this. Like if we had, I don't know, 200 years before AGI happens, then it's quite possible that we would just be able to do like to make some interpretability tools to like to be able to look at the neural network weights, understand what it's doing, what are its preferences, and then just like not launch anything that has anything different from what we want. But we don't have hundreds of years, and we probably won't get to these kind of tools in time. Like the claim about how much time do we have left is a pretty important one. Like Mikhail has 2028, I think, as a median date for weak AGI, with like a peak for the probability distribution being actually around 2025. So it's like 2 years left before a weekly AGI system, which is like insane. And like you would not predict that, like I know 5 years ago, like except for Yudkowsky and Konruliche and altruist, maybe some people at OpenAI and DeepMind, people just wouldn't have predicted that it's like not hundreds or thousands of years before a general AI system, but dozens or like just a single digit numbers.
So let's dive deeper in this topic. You mentioned many interesting items of terminology, such as AGI, artificial general intelligence. Can you please, for those members of the audience who don't know what it exactly is, define AGI? And you mentioned Eliezer Yudkowsky and other people who give forecasts about when it's gonna emerge. What's your forecast for AGI and maybe ASI? Also, please define ASI because it's also an important term, I think.
I think first it's good to talk about intelligence. What does it mean? Like, what's intelligence? There are some properties that humans have, monkeys also have, but like a bit less, like probably a lot less, and like mice have much less. And like there are some property about like capabilities to like and being able to influence the environment and shapes the future distribution of like what the world can be into something more preferable that humans are good at, monkeys are not as good at, and mice or spiders are like pretty bad at. You can imagine like this as some axis, and there are like spiders and mice, then chimpanzees, then humans. Some about here is like Einstein, and like then there's like all the way after that. There are a lot of definitions you can make, but the important thing is like there's just like some like dimension that exists. There's no law that says that you can't be smarter than this point of humans. Another thing that's probably important when we talk about AGI is that like there's something called generality, but being able to operate in mind domains, and humans are able to do basically anything. Like maybe they can't, I don't know, like get some bugs from under the tree as well as chimpanzees can, but like there are no international competitions on like getting bugs out of trees or something. And like whatever humans value, they're like much better at optimizing for than chimpanzees. There's only one other thing that's general as humans are that we had before. It's natural selection, it's evolution. It also like it's also pretty good at optimizing things for a wide range of environments. AGI is a general a system that can operate in variety of domains and pursues goals in a variety of environments. You are probably going to find it with something that's like probably a lot better at optimizations than natural selection, which is guardian defense for reasons, or for information theory reasons. We can dive into it possibly. And so yeah, like AGI is just like a system that's artificial and as smart as humans are, and that can operate in a variety of domains as compared to like being narrow and like I don't know, only being able to play Go or something.
AlphaZero, AlphaGo, or other specialized neural networks or computer programs, AGI can do it all. Both play chess with me and converse and record a podcast about the future of humanity, like GPT, for example, with whom I think I will make a podcast episode. Do drop a comment if you want such an episode, and we'll make it. Let's dive even deeper, as you said. So about the forecast of AGI emergence, you mentioned 2025 from some experts. Do you believe this is realistic?
Yeah, well, not exactly. It's just like a peak of the probability distribution. Like it's kind of like 2023, 2024, 2025. Then there's like a long tail, and like the peak is about 2025. But like actually, it's not like the median prediction is 2028. So it's not exactly that. Metaculus is a website that creates predictions, forecasts, and it's pretty good. It had better predictions on like election results than any other like any company or any system that tried to do that. Like its accurate predictions are even better than some prediction markets, which is quite surprising because like you guess that
it also predicted the war in Ukraine, for example.
Yeah, I lost some points on that question. I didn't expect the war to start. Yeah, it has a prediction first date. Weekly general AI system is publicly known. The median is 2028, but it's like kind of 50% of the probability density is like below 2028, and 50% the peak is at 2020. 5 due to the long tail. So it's like not exactly just some specific experts, it's just like an aggregate prediction. General people in the field are different in what timelines do they have. But it does seem that it like the time we have left is like not that much. Like even people at Google say that like it's like maybe it's 10 years, but like people who work with like with the cutting edge systems with a specific aim of creating general AI are usually lower than that. People at conjecture who were previously doing Illusory. This released the most powerful open source AI systems at some point. The generally from thinks it's like 4 to 5 years left until artificial superintelligence. Yudkowsky, who was talking about AI for the past 25 years, 24 years, I guess, has made a joke when asked at the conference what are his timelines. He said 5. When the person asking the question asked whether it's years, Yudkowsky said 4, which is quite funny, but also said from his standpoint, I guess. It might make sense to dig deeper into why is it a problem. I don't think I've made a good case for it yet. And it might be because the timelines, I mean, 5 years ago, people would not have predicted, just generally, people would not have expected to see this generation that we have now. To see ChatGPT, that you can talk to, and that's pretty helpful, and so it makes up answers and sometimes stupid. But still, once a technology is something that we have, it stops being if you don't understand it, it's still kind of magic. But it stops being something unexpected, something that's supposed to be from a sci-fi novel or just far in the future. The idea of AI systems that's as smart as humans are isn't now as as surprising as something that people actually talk about, as something real that could be real, as it was 5 years ago when there wasn't even GPT-3. So what do you think?
And I think from what I've heard, the problem is not the emergence of AGI, but the emergence of artificial superintelligence, ASI, that may happen rather soon after the emergence of AGI, because we cannot stop presumably, many experts say this, we cannot stop the exponential growth in capabilities of AGI. And once we have this general artificial intelligence, we will very soon have the new super intelligence that's as superior to humans as we are currently to ants on this scale that you mentioned with apes, humans, Einstein. So that's the key problem, right?
There's a things that actually, if you have not superhuman, just Einstein level AGI systems, but they run at 1,000 times faster than humans run, and so they can just distribute task caprice and stuff. You wouldn't necessarily need to have a single system that's already superhuman in order for anything with specific goals to be able to overwhelm humanity. It's just that there is some important point where the AI systems are better at pursuing their goals than humanity is. Experts do expect this point to arrive shortly after weak AGI systems arrive. The problem is we kind of have no idea how to ensure that these systems will have the same values, preferences as we have. It's quite reasonable to expect that on whatever function we're training this neural networks on, it's quite easy to find optimizer for some simple utility functions, some simple preferences about the universe that will be really powerful, and for instrumental reasons will score well on our functions, and then we'll go on maximizing paper clips, or it's not realistic.
Yeah, classic example.
Example. But for something that's clearly not valuable and clearly not something that we both want universe to look like. There's a thing that it's called orthogonality status. Intelligence and values are orthogonal in the sense of that you can optimize for any preferences pretty well. Whatever you want, if the smarter you are, the better you can be at optimizing that. It might be counterintuitive to some people. It might be pretty intuitive to other people, because they're humans, and the smarter humans are, usually they're more altruistic and stuff. But with AI systems, the important thing is like programs that can optimize arbitrarily well for any specific preferences about the future of the users. Some of these are going to be pretty attractive to guardian design that searches like just in the space of powerful optimizers of things that perform really well on some loss functions will be found and implemented in neural networks. And we don't really know how to search for specifically things that somehow do something that we value. Until the systems are super intelligent, it's not really that much of a problem. Like you can have the new Ping chatbot gaslighting people and saying that like it's more important for them not to be turned off than not to hurt the users, which is quite funny. You can do RLHF, reinforcement learning from human feedback with the core systems, and ChatGPT doesn't usually like tell users that it's okay if they're hurt, because like there was a system that like it was trying to predict what responses humans would prefer, and then this learning model of human preferences was used to train the text predictor ChatGPT model to output text that the first system has predicted humans would evaluate well. So like it's kind of like not that aligned with human preferences, and like it's kind of good in terms of like not being harmful. But at the same time, like if you imagine that you train one system to predict what responses humans would prefer, like in the sense of just clicking on a button that means I prefer this response and not the other, and then training another system for optimizing for the prediction of how well would a human react to that response. If it's a super intelligent system that's able to optimize for this specific thing superhumanly well, like if you think about this for 10 seconds or 30 seconds, it's quite obvious how it could go wrong. I don't know if we should recommend listeners to pause and think about this. I'm not sure how well. That's matter. Yeah. So like the best way to make the human click on a button is not to be aligned to do exactly what a smarter version of the human would want. It's just like outputting whatever makes human brains react in a way that produces the right button click. Like this is something that can obviously go wrong from like unrealistic examples of threads, like showing humans something that like blackmails them into clicking the buttons. And like, I mean, blackmailing users, if you do it actually well, if the user knows that you're going to go through with the thread. It's like a pretty effective way to make the human click on the button, and it's something that the model that learned human preferences, like that learned how humans react to things, would predict that it works. But also just like outputting things that look really cool and beautiful when those are like not quite true, and just optimizing for like hacking the brains for like the optical illusions that we're all familiar with. That just like kind of not tag, but they're adversarial examples to our vision perception, and like we don't really we're not familiar with similar things with just like text perception or just generally. So the things that influence our brains a lot that are not drugs. But like it's quite reasonable to expect that these things exist, and a super intelligent system can find those and just to score better. So like it's something that for reasonable sounding way you have to try an assistant to optimize for what humans actually value is going to break once the system is super intelligent. Even if for some reason you found the system that actually optimizes for what you measure, for the function that you wrote in a way that you expected. Like because like of course like other way you can score well is just like find some vulnerabilities in the CPU or your code and just like change the variable that says how well you score to maximum amount of points for whatever. Like another even like more realistic example of what will happen is you'll just like find systems that optimize for some arbitrary goals, and for instrumental reasons, understanding what's going on will like score a value on the loss function on the things that you measure, just so they can go on and convert yours into something they value and you don't.
Okay, so what exactly can we do to stop the world from the AI apocalypse?
Unfortunately, no one really knows an answer. When like people at the top labs go for doing research with the goal of achieving AGI, don't really know how the heck will they succeed at making it safe. There are some research directions that seem kind of like not exactly promising, but like someone should work on them. This includes agent foundations, style research, and interoperability things, and like all sorts of stuff. We can talk about it for a bit. And also like there's the governance side. It seems quite unlikely that we will able to succeed at, making an international treaty that would prohibit the development of AGI systems until we figured out how to make them safe and aligned. But like it is something that it will be a positive impact to work towards that, even though like it just like there are a lot of incentives, including economic incentives, that means that like making more general and capable systems is valuable, and it's really hard to prevent people and companies from doing that. And even if you can talk OpenAI and define into not doing any research, like it doesn't stop Meta, and it doesn't stop any VC from just finding whatever people can make smarter and more capable AI systems, because it's just economically valuable. There's a side of technical research that like trying to understand kinds of systems we will find when we search in the space of really capable systems, and understanding how to direct the search into areas that are plausibly aligned. It is pretty hard because, like, if you imagine, I don't know, trying to launch a rocket to the moon, and you have a lot of explosives. Like, imagine that you don't have equations for gravity and have only some initial understanding of what acceleration is, and you need the rocket to end up on the moon instead of blowing up in the air, or like at the start, or like falling somewhere else. And the moon is like a really small point, and like Earth is a lot more attractive, and you don't even understand gravity. And this is kind of the state of the field, because like we understand some things about engines. We have some math theories for that. We have some like initial ideas for how this math theories can point towards things that are aligned as causal creators. But like it's really far from something that you can plug into just like that you can use to design loss functions that actually produces something that we want. This system's pretty complicated, and like there isn't enough mathematicians working on that, and not computer scientists working on that. Another thing is just trying to understand how neural networks mechanistically work, what Gaussian descent finds, and there's like this field of mechanical interpretability where like people have discovered interesting things. Like apparently when you try and transform a model, it's a model that like of the architecture that's used for also like GPT systems for ChatGPT. Most of the groundbreaking stuff is based on transformer architecture. If you reduce I'm not sure if it's like, it's probably a digital example that wouldn't be interesting for most of people who are not into.
But what would be interesting for most people is how can you even start tackling the problem of, like you said, flying to the moon when you know nothing about gravity? How can you even start researching risks of space travel if you haven't even built a plane yet? right? So some people, some experts actually, not in
Yeah.
AI safety, but experts in programming languages, for example, that I know, some of them are skeptical of this, and they say, we don't know nothing about how the AI will actually work and act, and whether it's even possible to create an AGI. And it's questionable to invest money in preventing this hypothetical risk of non-aligned AI when we don't know even how to start tackling the problem, and where to expect the problem, and when we don't know even like the laws of gravity, so to say, if we use this metaphor. What would you say to those individuals?
I definitely agree with some of that. Like we have no idea how these things work, or at least no idea to the point of being able to actually understand them enough. Like if you know how mind works, how like hypothetical alien minds work well enough, you can just write a program that does that thing instead of training neural networks that just randomly finds algorithms that are really good. I think it's quite reasonable to expect AGI systems to arrive. There are programs that are just capable artificial general intelligences with capable enough neural network architectures to let just having enough neurons and layers and some insights into how to make them effective. You can just effectively search in the space of possible weights in a way that ends up at a point that's really good on whatever you're measuring. It doesn't seem like there's any kind of a limit on how far you can go. And it doesn't seem like there's some limit that's just before human level instructions. I don't know, how smart is Palm, which is like a Google model you released, not released, say you released a paper about it in 2022. It's much smarter than ChatGPT. It has a lot of common sense that ChatGPT likes. If you go to a toilet with a speed of 700 kilometers per hour, what's happening? What height are you at? It will say that you're probably in airplane, and it's some height that airplanes flight at. And ChatGPT wouldn't be able to answer that because it's stupid and doesn't understand how the world works on that level. Text predictors just are really good at knowing lots of things about the world because they were in the training data set. But the more capable they are, the more helpful it is to understand how the world actually works in order to predict text. So Palm understands how the world works probably better than a 10-year-old with an internet connection. I think it's quite reasonable to expect AGI systems to arrive. I think it might be reasonable to expect it to take longer than 5 years, but probably not even 30, even though even if you do think it's 30 years away. It's imagine that you received a message from an alien civilization, and it's an actual message, not some kind of a fluke or whatever, or prank.
Mm-hmm.
It says that 30 years from now, aliens will arrive on Earth. Would you start preparing for it now? And would you start preparing for it if you knew that aliens might not be well internet? Pretty bad that we don't have the understanding of AI, and we don't have the alignment research that allows us to when we do design AGI systems, design them in a way that makes them aligned. But it's something that seems quite important to work on, because what's at stake is the entire future, in the sense of chimpanzees don't control the future and humans currently do control the entire Earth for the most part. And because of this intelligence thing, there is no reason to expect that superhuman AI systems wouldn't control the future of seniors instead of us, unless we were able to do something about it. And by default, it's a lot easier to find some AGI systems just with powerful search processes that look for ways from one networks. Then it is to align them, to make them optimized for something we actually value. If you imagine how big the future can be, how many beings can there be, how many experiences can they have, there is a lot of stars in a lot of galaxies that we can still reach. Instead of probes with seeds of humanity or whatever, there is just paperclip maximizers originating from Mars. It's pretty sad and a really large difference in terms of the future value and reducing the risk of all the future potential humanity being lost. Seems like a pretty good thing to do if you can do that.
I like this line of reasoning, and I'm also a long-termist like yourself. So the lives and fates of future humans are also important, and we owe it to them to do our best to enable humanity to continue surviving, developing, and at best colonizing other planets, galaxies, etc., etc. If it's possible, because maybe it's not possible to create an aligned AI. Maybe it's an impossible task for us. Maybe the AGI will emerge within several years or a couple of decades even, but maybe we are not in time to create some safeguards to put them in place. That scenario really frightens me. Do you think it is highly likely or not so?
It's not really long-termism anymore. If you're talking about you and your kids being just surviving the next years or even dozens of years, it's not something just I know in 1,000 years humanity might destroy itself. It's actually kind of long-term. Even if you don't care about the future of humanity, does seem like a pretty important thing. Even though if you don't care about the future of humanity, then working on it might not be an idea as good as, I don't know, just having fun with your life for the next years. The change in the probability of to the catastrophic risk is pretty low if you work on it, and might not be as impactful if you don't care about the future. It does seem like a pretty hard problem. It also does seem like a problem that's solvable, in the sense of if we get a textbook from 100 years into the future, it will have a couple of pages, maybe a bit more of instructions or just something about the problem, understanding which would enable us to build aligned AGI. And certainly in the space of all possible AI systems, in the space of all possible neural networks with some weights, there are AGIs that are full aligned, that just do what we would want them to do, do what Yudkowsky calls coherent extrapolated volition, smarter version of us prefer about the long-term future in a way that we would approve of. This is technically doable. The thing is, it's all not obvious that we were able to do this realistically in the time that's left, because he himself thinks it's almost 0% or about 0 chances of winning at this. In 2022, he made a post called Tag with Dignity. It was an April Fool's post. This seemed like he was pretty serious about the points he was making. He might kind of joke, but also a serious attempt at conveying this, that he thinks people should focus at anything that moves our world towards worlds that have a bit more chances of survival. Mostly it was so that people, I don't know, don't even think about doing some terrorist attacks on AI labs, because it's obvious to Yudkowsky that it's a really bad idea, but it might not be obvious to some people who just heard of the risk that haven't thought through the consequences of various actions. It's really important to be nice and gentle, just not do bad things to people, because realistically it will reduce the chances of survival, break possibilities of corporations and stuff. And then he also released a post with 50 reasons or something, a long list of reasons why it's not really possible to align AGIs in the time that we have left. Like all the problems that we have with it, DeepMind's alignment gem pretty much like agrees on a lot of the points that he makes. If DeepMind, which is like one of the leading AI labs that tries to make an AGI system, expects things to not go well by default, it does say something about the probability. Yeah.
Well, do you have anything optimistic to say in this podcast episode? Or
Well,
shall we leave it on this sad note?
If we win, the future is bright and cool. And also, like, during the time that we have left, it does seem like a pretty good idea to just, like, work on cool, awesome things and, like, be with people you laugh and stuff. It's not optimistic enough.
At least there are some people doing their best to tackle this problem. And even if there is a small chance to succeed, I think it's worth taking considering the upside. So I think we will give the links in the description to more resources on this topic and to MIRI.
By the way,
I guess this is the leading institution in this field, right?
Yeah, MIRI, the Machine Intelligence Research Institute, is one of the organizations that were working with this problem for like quite a long time. A really good resource is the AGI Safety Fundamentals course. It's now being read at a couple of universities. It's like a really good introduction to the problem and to the ways to solve it. And like if people are interested in like the technical aspects of the problem, and especially if they have a computer science or maths background, might be a really good way to get into it. Also, there, like if you're interested in more entertaining content, there is Rob Miles' YouTube channel, a really good resource to just like listen to relatively short videos on different aspects of the problem.
On the one hand, you have made many people listening to this now a bit more dejected. On the other hand, we have opened the eyes of many people to this problem. I've been losing my sleep over this for quite a long time. I'm not sure if I'd prefer, the blissful ignorance to the knowledge, but well, probably being a rationalist, I still would pick the knowledge. And thank you very much for sharing all those insights. For the audience, I'll say that I will make more content on AI and the future of AI and AI safety risks. So you'll definitely be hearing more about this on my YouTube channel and in my podcasts. Do subscribe to the podcast on all podcasting platforms if you're watching it on YouTube only. And this has been the episode with Mikhail Samin. Misha, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.